Good morning, students. So, welcome to yet another episode of Interview with CEO. So, today's guest is the Managing Director for Wiley India. His name is Vikas Gupta. He is recognized as a progressive thought leader of the education and publishing industry. In his current role, he leads a portfolio of research, education, training, and staffing business for Wiley in India. Vikas is spearheading WileyNxt, which is Wiley's new edtech offering in Asia. Through WileyNxt, he's driving the future of learning towards a technology enabled hyper personalization model that places the learner at its core. In a career spanning over 20 years, Vikas has been a forerunner in leading many innovative products and business models in the space of technology driven learning solutions, research and faculty development, professional certifications, and skill development. As an award winning serial entrepreneur, Vikas co founded and led ventures in the fields of IT, publishing, and medical electronics. He is an ardent promoter of the spirit of entrepreneurship and encourages students as well as professionals to constantly strive towards perseverance coupled with innovative thinking. He has also been former president of Association of Publishers in India and promoter member of the Education Promoter Society of India. He has authored and co-authored 15 books till date, and his books in the field of IT have sold over 2 million copies worldwide. He is the recipient of Business Excellence and Innovation Best Practices Academia Award 2019 by Dr. Manmohan Singh, the former Prime Minister of India, for innovative strategy in digital content, contribution to entrepreneurship's ecosystem, exemplary contribution to academic knowledge, and building brand in India through business. Vikas holds a degree in electronics engineering and an executive MBA from ISB in association with Kellogg School of Management, the Wharton Business School, and Fundação Dom Cabral, Brazil. He also holds a PG diploma in printing and publishing from London. Vikas sir, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Jitesh. It's a pleasure to be here. And good morning to all the students as well.
Thank you, sir. Sir, the first question I have is what exactly is WileyNxt? And can you tell us how it will benefit our students?
Sure. So, just maybe a minute I'll spend on the background of Wiley. So,
Yes, sir.
Wiley, as many students would know, is one of the oldest publishing organizations in the world. Wiley was founded in about 1807, which is 213 years ago in the US.
Yep.
It is one of the leading publishers of science, technology, as well as medicine based content. And for more than 200 years we have been in the forefront to give cutting edge learning and education solutions to students globally. As a part of continuously changing, few years ago a decision was taken to go in the value chain of education, because gone are the days where education was imparted by the teacher or the professor in the class, a set of students sitting inside the classroom, or a black or a whiteboard is the only thing which you required to just conduct education and teaching. Now in the world of internet, now with online learning, especially in the post COVID world, what is becoming increasingly important is just having content or books is not enough. You need more. And especially in the COVID world where you want to learn skills along with knowledge to get a job, you need to change the models of learning. So, what do I mean by that? And that is where WileyNxt comes. Let me take an example. If you want to become a heart surgeon, and I show you on internet a video to conduct open heart surgery, say 1,000 times. So you may even become very knowledgeable about it because all the audio is coming along, what is the surgeon doing or the team is doing and everything. But ask yourself a question. Just by looking at that 1,000 times, learning from the best professor from India or abroad, will you become a heart surgeon? You will not be able to even cut the first cut inside the chest, forget about the heart, because you have never done it yourself. So, what I mean by that is knowledge tells you what it is, but skills tell you how to do this. So for skills, you have to immerse yourself in it, and that's what WileyNxt is. WileyNxt is an amazing solution where academia came on one side to teach conceptual learning, and industry came on the other side to help with contextual learning. And Wiley next builds that bridge to teach hard skills. I'm not talking soft skills, hard skills using technology remotely. So you are not going inside a lab, you are simulating the lab on the cloud, and wherever in the world you are able to learn hard skills using technology. So let's take an example. We have, say, you are learning IT and you are learning AI. In that, you need to now learn how do I do this project with some help in a simulated environment. So we have a complete simulator based learning environment with a lot of help, lot of support, both automated support as well as physical, I'll say live online support, so that you are able to deliver the solution to the to your professor. This is the way to solve it. Now it looks very simple, it is not, because when you do solve a problem, which is a problem which is given by the industry, you solve it in a different way than you solve in a class. Let me make an example. When you go in a class, you read by chapters or topics. When you go to the industry, your day one in the job, your team gets a business problem to solve. Nobody tells you this problem. Let's assume it's a Java problem. Okay, whatever you call it. Oh, use Java to solve it, or use this Eclipse to do this, or something else to do that. No. A business problem has to be solved, and a business solution has to be created. And to solve it, you have to do all design, programming, what language you use, how you use, who uses that, how many team members you are, doesn't matter. What matters is that you're able to solve that problem. Solving business problems is the biggest challenge students face, and that's what WileyNxt solves. It's using remote technology, remote immersive skills. You are learning these kind of skills sitting in your college campus or maybe at your home. So WileyNxt is the best solution, which even won the Global Fast Companies Honorable Mention Award in the US this year for one of the best innovations in uh, forwarding education and learning in 2020. So I think this is, I think, covers, Jitesh, what I was trying to say about WileyNxt.
Makes sense, sir. Makes sense. So, what kind of courses are currently available in the WileyNxt platform, sir?
So WileyNxt takes care of two kinds of things. One, 21st century hard skills, AI, IoT, blockchain, cybersecurity, uh, robotic process automation, courses in these areas, which are the hard skill courses. And there, I'm only to keep telling you topics. There are multiple courses in each of these topics.
Okay, sir. Makes sense.
Then on the other side, you also have these 21st century soft skills. Soft skills is not about giving a presentation or speaking with confidence or similar things anymore. We now talk about solving problems using design thinking. We talk about collaboration skills. We talk about working in teams. We talk about working remotely. We talk about working in the virtual world. These are also essential skills for you to learn, and we allow you to learn that. Now, let me give you a very good example, which I heard in one of the conferences I went, maybe it was last year. The gentleman there used this word called athletic Gavaskar. Now, for students who may not know, but I'm pretty sure they should, Sunil Gavaskar was one of the uh, top batsmen in the world. Before Sachin Tendulkar, he was for more than 2 decades the mainstay of the Indian cricket team. But what people don't know was, when I use the word athletic Gavaskar, is at that time the cricket team was made globally, not in India, with the following things. You need four specialized batsmen. You need four or three specialized bowlers. You need one or two all rounders, one wicket keeper, and one maybe or two all rounders. That was the way you build teams. Now, today's world, is that true? Everybody in Virat Kohli's team is an athlete, super athlete. So being physically fit is now a given, which was not the case earlier. At that time, the batsmen like Gavaskar and Vishwanath used to stay in the slips. Some people, because they were not the best fielders, the bowlers were not the best batsmen. So what it means is you had one specialized skills and you were able to get a place in the team. Now everybody is top of the form in terms of physical fitness. You have to be a world class bowler who can also bat, who can also field very well, who can also do multiple other things. So, multi skill, multidisciplinary approach is the only way you get a place in the Indian cricket team now. And that's the reason that we had starwards earlier, but we were never the champions like we are today. Does this make sense, Ritesh?
It makes sense, sir. It really makes sense. I think this word is going to remain a talking point in our campus. Athletic Gavaskar. I
Okay.
hope they know Gavaskar. During our days, Gavaskar was, a poster boy for us, and my room had, Gavaskar's poster from. There
Yes,
used to be a
mine
magazine
too.
called
So,
Sports Star.
yes.
Sports Star. There used to be a magazine called
Yeah,
Sports
yeah, I
Star.
remember that, and he was on the maybe six times in a year cover on that. Yes,
Yes, he was there in the cover. Even center spreads were there with in the
yes.
calendar, especially the New Year edition would definitely have that. Sir, I mean, as a person, I mean, we have immense respect for you. Your accomplishments are amazing. So I wanted to know what work ethics have brought you till where you are, and I mean, out of those work ethics, what are the things that a student can copy and get inspired so that they succeed in their career?
See, the biggest ethic which I have learned is we should get out of the mindset that somebody is looking. We should self-police ourselves. I don't need somebody else to tell me I'm ethical or not. I need to stand in a mirror and say, whatever I do is ethical, is it by the book, and does it make sense? Now, very difficult to practice in the world we live in. But what I can tell you, a lot of people have skills, a lot of people may be smarter than you, but as you go up the ladder, your ethics will be the differentiator between you and others to go up. That's one. What work ethics also means is it dives into the other part, which is the sense of ownership. If you are ethical in your job or any business, you automatically start to get the sense of ownership, and that allows you to say that this is mine. Work has to be done. The outcomes have to be driven. You need to be smart. I'm not denying that. There are challenges, there are other things, there are organizational issues. I'm not talking in a perfect world. But even in the normal world, the sense of ownership, the passion behind what you bring on the table will again be the differentiator. And these, in one way, are part of the work ethics. The other part, the sense of collaboration, everybody wins. Easy to say. But even if you make sure everybody wins in a team, your contributions, if they are the primary contributions, will always remain in the top because the team will acknowledge it because you did not put all the, uh, I'll say, all the successes are mine and all the blames are for the team. No. On the contrary, if I say if you are an ethical leader, anything goes wrong in your team, you should take the responsibility alone. Anything goes right, everybody except you is responsible. You start doing that, you start changing your profile in the organization from a manager to a leader. What do I mean by that? Manager is something which is assigned, means you may be managing a team of 3,000 or 300 or 3 or 30, but a leader means you have followers. You can't lead without a follower. You only get followers if you bring everybody along in a way that their interests are before your interests. And what I mean by that is, if they succeed, you succeed automatically. And I think if you build that culture, that creates an ethical working environment, an environment where it is where people genuinely collaborate and support each other, and that's the where the differentiation comes. Let me give you a very good example. So you talked about one of the business schools I went as a part of my ISB MBA. Actually, the name of the school is Fundacom Don Cabral, Brazil. Okay. Now, let me make people understand. In Brazil, there is nothing called, you've never heard of any Brazilian technology. I think everybody will agree. Brazil is a fun place, rich in minerals, rich in petroleum, and rich in agriculture. It's the Amazon basin. All the Amazon River flows to Brazil, so you can understand the most fertile lands in the world. So put that into a structure and think, if that is the case in this country where there is no technology, there is nothing called real technology building, how can the world's third largest passenger plane maker is a Brazilian company called Embraer? So after Boeing and Airbus, the world third largest passenger jet company is this company Embraer. This company is Brazilian. It is not in US, it is not in Europe, it is not in China, it is not in Japan, and it is in Brazil from more than 25 years. I visited them and then I asked, how can you do that? They said, because we work in collaboration. If we follow the global linear model of design and production, one team is working, two teams are waiting. We don't work like that. If first team starts to work, we come and ask, do you need any help? Anywhere we can help you. And that collaboration is the reason we are able to get a plane certified in 4.5 years, vis 10 years for Boeing and Airbus. And that too, you can see the challenges they are facing. Embraer has never faced a challenge in terms of quality or standards, and they're able to do that at 40% less price. So understand the ethics, the work ethics they have built, the collaboration structure they have built, the ability to embrace success together, what they have built, the sense of ownership they have built defines what they are. And I think that's what students should understand. They will be now going to a workforce. There, they will never win individually. In a college, you may come first in a class or first in a college. In job, not a single person ever wins. When you start a job, it's your team which will win, or the bigger group which will win. So understand that, and I think you will succeed.
Makes sense, sir. And Embraer is basically a news to me as well. I'm definitely going to Google them after this podcast. Sir, I have another question. I mean, your career, if you look at it, you have led large teams and you have basically executed large scale initiatives, and including WileyNxt that you are currently heading. So, what does it take for somebody to lead such initiatives?
So that's a great question, Ditesh. So let me put it in two buckets. One bucket is, nobody will give you a large team to lead till you do it for a small team. Agreed? And to do that, even if you are building a large team to lead, it starts from something smaller, and then with time you scale up the business and you scale up the project and you keep on adding more and more people. So one thing which I've learned is, when you are in a startup mode, there is a lot of what is called quick fix solutions which are created. So we put very innovative names to it: out of box solution, fast solutions, fail fast. develop fast. It is great till the time it is still in a infancy mode. When you want to create large projects or build large product development or design, you need to understand, if in the beginning you do not plan it for scalability, you will always fail. Let me put it this way. In management and engineering education, there is a very uh, common word, MVP, minimum viable product. Ditesh, you must be aware of that. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I don't believe in that. In today's world, if you want to succeed, and if you have a minimum viable project which has just come with a team of 10, and then next 6 to 9 months you will spend in building the budgets, and then you start to get team, and it will take 3 to 5 years to execute and build a product, those days are gone. You will be out of business within 6 months. So what I say is, in today's world, nothing is minimum viable. If it is with respect to competition, nothing. So what I call is a different word. What I call is what is called MLP, minimum lovable product. Minimum lovable means that this is the minimum I require to like what you have created. Okay? To do that, you have to also make sure it's the maximum scalable product. If you build features which are not scalable, how will you then build a large team, because the product is not scalable, because the features are not scalable? So what I mean by that is, when you build something like this, you need to then start building the second and the third level of leadership in the beginning itself. It is more costs, it is more processes, it is more, I'll say, slightly more bureaucracy. But if you can build that ethics and collaboration and the ownership culture, those things go away. And that has been the reason I've been able to build teams, because I give them the ownership within frameworks to do. So my direct leadership and a level below have complete authority in 90% cases. Second, anything goes wrong, the faster you tell, the more I will take the blame. So it means is, something will always go wrong. The early indicators you create, we can create a course correction. That's the second way to do. Third is, if you can afford, and what Google does very well is that two teams are given the same problem or the project to solve. Who solves it faster wins. That also create a sense of competition and collaboration together. So I'll say I can't use that in all cases, but in many cases we are able to do. So our ability to keep, I'll say, decision making at two levels below, build small teams decision making within the large team, but the scalability of that runs very well. And a project management office like a PMO make sure that everybody is within the frameworks they are in. They have all kinds of flexibility within the framework, and no approvals, nothing required. Anything goes wrong, raise a hand and we will solve it together. I think that is the reason we are able to create large team. The second part to this is, you will always have teams where you have very, uh, I'll say, people with a lot of experience and people which are new together. If you are able to integrate people with experience and people with fresh ideas together within the framework, you get the best of both worlds. So never dream about that anything innovation I only have to get the young people. No, you need a combination of both, because your buyers are both, your consumers are both. You need to learn it from that perspective. And many times the people with experience will allow you to not get into pitfalls, because they will not contribute more on features and other things you need, because it may be a product for millennials, but their experience brings, I'll say, more robustness in scalability. The ideas are young, but the robustness of scalability comes from experienced people. So I think this is one reason that you're able to do that. And the important factor this also creates is that the co-creation of this vision with new and experienced people together, and the inclusive wisdom of all with multiple levels of decision making and ownership and complete authority has been able, I think I've been able to do that, and being successful most of the time.
Thank you, sir. That was really, really nice way of putting it across. Sir, I have another doubt, which is again a question on how do you decide on your future business requirements? How does a leader, because leader is supposed to be a visionary, right? He is supposed to see the future. How do you, as a leader, decide on your future business requirements?
Okay, that's a great question. So I think we need to be realistic about two parts to this question. There you have, when you have a future business requirement, it could be based on two things. One, your current business models are failing and you need to change them for the future perspective, otherwise you will suffer major challenges. And the second part is, you are building something new or you are trying to build. How do you know before the competition what your consumers require? So what I mean by that is that let's take the second one first, which is a much more exciting one. Your consumers preferences change very fast, and you must have seen many things came, they became a fad, and then they went away. And many things which you call, say for example, what you call Facebook today or what you call Google today is not the same solution which you were using 5 years ago. Forget about 5 years, even 2 years ago or a year ago. It may still call itself Facebook, but it is 100 times more different than a product when you started using it. Make sense? So you have to continuously make sure that people find something new and something exciting, something current, something which they may aspire to think as you are continuously updating the product or service you have. So the days of building a product and then selling it and building a product again and selling it goes away. Let's even talk about the software industry. We all use Windows in our computer and MS Office. We don't buy for 20 years, we bought a new version of MS Office every 2 years, it used to come, or Windows every 2 or 3 years, it used to come. Now, what happens? If I even talk about Windows on one side and even your cell phones on the other side, you get a constant update and upgrade of your software on a daily basis. What does it tell you? You can't keep people on that software or usage if you say I will change it every 2 years or even a year. Daily basis, you are taking feedback. You have built intelligent systems which is giving you the feedback of what kind of problems consumers are facing. You are taking feedback from multiple forums, how people behave and see your product. You are talking to your customers and you are understanding those customers, and you are also understanding what are the kind of things which are happening in the market. If people are getting away from laptops, what do I do? Should I create something for the mobile phones? Then it has to work on Android or the Apple iPhone, which will not be Windows. What do I do in that? It has to be app based. If I can adapt and make sure that I keep all of these complex challenges in forefront and then keep on continuously iterating on the product or service, I think you will always be ahead of the curve. That's one. The second part is that any new product or service solves something either in a new way, or you will say I've created something which was never created earlier. And honestly, if I can tell you, even a company like Apple never invented any of these products they have created till date. They were never the first ones. And you can check it. You may say it's the most innovative company in the world, but they were never the first ones to create any of the products from an iPod, it was created by Creative. Uh, Computer was created by IBM. Uh, you start from operating system was created by Microsoft, or even not even Microsoft, it was Palo Alto Labs. If I talk about uh, phone, it was not created by, it was created by Motorola. If you talk about tablet, it was not created by Apple. If you talk about uh, Apple TV, or even iPods or anything, Apple was never the first one to create any new product, but they became the most successful in all of them because they understood just having a product is not enough. If I have an iPod like Creative have, but I cannot sell you one song, you have to still buy a CD. How will that work? So they, in each case, created an ecosystem of ease to use, ease to buy, ease to download one song at a time, and then they were able to build an ecosystem where everybody said, wow, I have a complete problem solved by one person, I will buy this. So the ecosystem is the future. If you become a part of the ecosystem, you will always have that, uh, I'll say, current and future business requirements, because all the stakeholders in the ecosystem, you will have direct access to all of those all the time.
Makes sense, sir. Another thing that I've seen in Apple is that they are very intuitive in the sense that their user experience is way ahead of their competitors.
So
Because
again,
you don't need a
they
brochure to
perfect,
read to
they
operate
they
their.
perfect what anybody else creates. So that's what they're
Exactly,
good at.
exactly. They perfect others' products. I agree. I agree, sir. Another question that I have is, what is business acumen according to you?
See, I think business acumen in the post-COVID world has taken a different meaning. One is speedy risk identification and mitigation, decisiveness and quick judgment, ability to stop certain things if things are not working, and scale up certain things if they are working, and agility to bounce back after failures. If you have an acumen of this kind, you will survive. Others are not relevant, because if you don't have these, nothing else will work.
That was succinct. Thank you so much, sir. I've never seen any other speaker being, so quick in defining business acumen. I really like the fact. Sir, the next question is, what is unique about the edtech industry? And have you noticed any correlation between edtech industry and other industries that are interesting?
Okay, so that's a good way to look at it. What is edtech industry? So edtech was always the periphery of education. It was never mainstream. The whole edtech industry was built around to support university education, professional education, self learning, even by using technology as an enabler. The flaw in the edtech industry was that if you are an edtech company, you will spend 80 to 90% of your funding or money you have on technology, and maybe 10 to 15 or 20% on content. And if you are a publishing company like Wiley at that time was, we used to spend 80% of our money on content, and maybe 15 or 10 or 20% of the money on building sub technology. Now, the logical progression should have been that the technology companies and education companies like, or the content companies like Wiley coming together, so that you have the best of all worlds. The problem was, when they came together, nobody was ready to split the revenues. The content company says, I'll give you 20% because that's what I spend. You may be slightly better. Maybe I'll stretch it to 30, nothing beyond. And the technology company says, oh, content is available everywhere. At best, I can give you 20 or 30. Due to that reason, the learning experience was never good. Like the Apple example you said, if the learning experience was never good, it was always an add on. And people got away with it because it was still an add on. The COVID world has changed the education technology meaning globally. Education and technology together is now mainstream. If you will not embrace and come together and solve your individual challenges of bringing the best content and best technology together, both of you will perish and somebody else will do it, and they're already doing it. So what it means is that in now it is not an option, it is mainstream. It is not about when, it is not about how much, it is about that you have to use it. And at best, the models of learning will become hybrid. But what does it mean? You need a college, you need professors, and you need to see your professors' uh, class and peer learning of the class, all of those experiences. You cannot change, you cannot take away. What you can do is, likely in Amrita University campus, you can build a model where student come to the campus only 3 days a week, or they are inside the campus 6 days, but teaching happens 3 days a week. So you may build the number of hostels are doubled, but their education, formal education, face to face happens 3 days. And you double the number of students in the same campus and have the second set of students having another 3 days. It could be alternate days, it could be one after the another. What it does is it creates more collaborations, physical and virtual. It creates more ideas, and education technology, edtech companies can solve that problem using technology. So it is not now how, it is now when. It is about that how much, and how much can we become technology driven when it comes to education, keeping the models of traditional learning and what value it brings on the table. So I'll say hybrid learning, which is embedded in uh, technology, is the future and the present. Now, where the problem lies? So, in the COVID world, every college, every university I know, they became online using Zoom and whatnot, multiple other tools. The challenge in that is, for many people, the experience was okay. For many students, the experience, or even teachers also, the experience was good. For many people, it was not good. And for a few, it was excellent. So, how did I define these? So, understand, if you are a self motivated, very smart student, you will figure it out and you can embrace this very fast in a pure online world also. You may still use education technology and go to the college for your labs. But for normal students, it is a challenge because they learn from peers, they learn from the students, they can ask problems and solutions in the class. So you will see that for people and students at large, they still need the hybrid model. What will change now is flip classes. Teachers will not come and take a lecture in the class. The classrooms globally are becoming more of a problem solving and idea sharing uh, places than linear learning by teachers. They will put that into lectures. Everybody has to read that, see that, and get ready before they come to the class. And the class will become more of a problem solving thing. So that is where I see EdTech going, and EdTech will play a huge role in this.
Makes sense, sir. Makes sense. Flip learning is already happening actually, because
Yes, it
most
will
of the
become
education
mainstream
colleges.
now.
I
Like
know.
it will become
Right.
mainstream now. Students will not be, and teachers will not be satisfied by linear learning going to a class.
Yes, makes sense. Makes sense. Sir, what has been the impact of COVID in your business?
So initial impact has been huge because in India, a lot of education was still print oriented and classroom based, and our books business really suffered. In terms of online, a lot of requests, a lot of inquiries about our digital solutions, but at this moment it is still old way, but delivery is digital using Zoom. I feel till the time it will happen very soon, where I'll say immersive digital solutions along with live online teaching, if they come in, that will become mainstream. That is still not happening at college and universities level, except some exceptions. And till that happens, the business of traditional education will be under challenge. What is doing phenomenally well is things like WileyNxt, where we are teaching people in new and emerging technologies, where there is the embracement towards these kind of solutions is there, where job readiness and day one ready for a job kind of solution in new and emerging technologies, that business is doing phenomenally well. The reference and the research business is also doing phenomenally well, because even in a post-COVID world, I think research has again, especially medical research and life sciences research has again becoming mainstream with all the things you are seeing in the world.
Makes sense, sir. Sir, one question I had was, how does Wiley decide on what course to offer? Wiley next. How do you decide on what course to offer?
So it's a very scientific process. How do we work is, we work with industry leaders and we ask them, what is your 2 year vision or a 3 year vision document, or the strategy you have envisioned for your corporations in India or globally? For that, what kind of skill sets you require in your employees 12 to 24 months from now? They share that with us, and that's the reason they are a part of the council. And then we say, okay, then we work with them and we build courses based on those job roles. Some of them will be the iteration of a current job role or an upgradation of a current job roles, but in also many cases there are totally different job roles that don't exist anymore today. So we are able to get those courses 6 to 9 months before the requirement of the industry, because that's what their direction of travel is. And we are able to build those roles into these people uh, way ahead of the curve. And that's the reason this WileyNxt courses are liked by the industry, because in many times we are one of the first ones to launch courses in these areas.
Makes sense, sir. Makes sense. Sir, what is strategic planning, and how can a student get better at strategic planning?
Aha. See, when you say the word strategic, first of all, you need to understand you. There is an old saying, Peter Drucker saying, I'm an old school person, that culture eats strategy for breakfast. So, if you don't have people who have bought into your strategy, even in the student wanting to do a project, if you don't have people buying, what happens in colleges, which is very common, is what is called social loafing. Social loafing is a global term, and I'll explain. If you put 6 people in a project, 1 or 2 people will take a huge lead. I'm the leader, and they feel so great and good about it. And then they take a role in everything. The delegation of work is done, but since you are the leader, they are not responding, they have not bought into your thinking. Students will not spend a lot of time together, or they are not available, they have some other else to do. Then what happens is, they will not keep up, so you will do their job also. So what it means is, since the marks in a project are common, so what I say is that social loafing happens. 2 or 3 people do the minimal amount of work in any project, and you can check it even in your university. So
Yes, sir.
30
It's
to
true
40
here
percent
also.
people are social loafers. Okay.
I know. Very true. Very true. Very true.
And that is where I say culture eats strategy for breakfast. So your first strategy is to bring everybody together, to bring the sense of ownership in them day one, to have, "Okay, this you will present, this is yours, this is yours, this is yours." If they are not willing to come on board, remove them day one. Then you have to build the execution plan after these things is done. Clear communication, who does what, in writing with timelines. And if anybody has a challenge, build a crisis management team of everybody coming together to solve problems. If you do that, you have the first like I'll say steps towards execution. If you can't execute, you are not a strategy person. You know, one thing which people need to understand, when somebody goes to a school, many times this happens that somebody got a 50 lakh rupee package and a 1 crore rupee package, and I'm pretty sure this must be true in Amrita also. Okay? Ask one question, and I'm with all regards to the professors and teachers and everybody, and I'll say again with due regards to everyone, that how come a student of theirs gets a 1 crore salary where the professors or the teachers teaching that student were paid say 30 lakhs or 25 lakhs salary? The reason the company paid them 1 crore salary was not because of their strategy, but their ability to execute the strategy. Professors are great in teaching the strategy, and that's why they are in the teaching profession. When you go in business, your ability to execute is what will define you as a success person or a failure, nothing else.
Very true, sir. Very true. Very true. I hope this podcast. People are going to take a lot of notes. I'm sure. Sir, the last. I'm coming to the last question almost. So I wanted to know what books have inspired you, and I also wanted to know what are some of the books that you have written. Are they available on Amazon and Flipkart so that I could reference it as part of the podcast notes?
So, first of all, most of my books, I still feel I'm young that I should not write a business or a strategy book. I'll still take another 10 years before I do that. But most of
Okay.
my books are technology books on uh, very unique things. I wrote the first world book on instant messaging and many things like that. So, mostly in
Okay.
new and emerging areas, but they are all
Yep.
available on Amazon and all. Absolutely, that's not a problem.
Yep.
But I say few of the books which I really liked. Uh, Many of them are Wiley books. One
Yep.
book which I feel in India is very important for every student and every professional to learn is a book by Patrick Lencioni. It's called The Five Dysfunctions of a Team. Our
Okay.
biggest challenge in India is that teams don't work, and that is why most of the failures happen. So, The Five Dysfunctions of a Team is a book which I recommend for a lot of students. Then there's another book which I really love, which I have learned a lot, is The Five Temptations of a CEO. So, what I mean by that is when you become a leader, and let's not worry about the word CEO, when you become a leader, you get into temptations. I should do this, I should not do that. You fall into that trap, you get failures everywhere. So, these are the two books I'll say I really liked in my early years. They were really interesting for me to learn and understand. Otherwise, I'll say there is a lot of great reading lists by Bill Gates. He is the one who is the futuristic guy. So I will not give my list to that. I follow that list quite diligently. He has set up many, many books which you really would like to learn. Ruchir Sharma also writes very interesting books about the practical state of Indian economy. Read his books, very practical.
Yep.
Then, in terms of students, I think uh, many Indian mythology books which teach you the teachings from Indian mythology are very good books. And I can send you the list, but there are many very, very good books which you can learn the management principles from Chanakya, the management principle from those. People may think they are old fashioned. Absolutely not. Why they are important is a lot of Western leadership books, strategy books were built around, I'll use the word, everything is, you can predict the future a lot. In the world of today, all of those things are failing. The Indian system was built around a VUCA world, vulnerability, uncertainty always. So a lot of those management thoughts was built around that. They're great learning now.
Interesting. Very nice. So I think Vikas sir, thank you so much for spending the time with us. I am really grateful for for spending the time with us. This has been one of the most impactful podcasts that I have hosted. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, everybody. And anybody has a question, please come to Jitesh. clarifications, I'll be too happy to answer. Thank you, everybody, and goodbye.